Hi everyone. Welcome to the Faculty of Arts Prep Week session on an introduction to the humanities. This session is for students entering the Faculty of Arts this fall who'd like to learn more about what you can study in arts, what to expect in the Faculty of Arts, and resources and supports available for new students. If you are hoping to, or we're planning on attending one of the other sessions that is running concurrently, and you don't have the exact link for that, my recommendation would be to go back to umanitoba.ca to the Prep Week webpage and where the schedule is, and look to see schedule and registration links, and look to see if there are additional links there for the other sessions, okay? So once again, we're going to get started. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Amber Osterman. I do communications for the faculty. I'm going to be your host for this session. I also want everyone to be aware that this session is currently being recorded. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that although we are together virtually today, the U of M campuses are located on the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. So again, welcome to today's session. We're so very happy that you've chosen the Faculty of Arts for your education. Here's our agenda for today. We have plenty to cover. Today, you're going to meet Dr. Heidi Marks. She's an Associate Dean in the Faculty of Arts, and she's going to introduce us to today's topic. Then we were going to go into three different areas in more detail to give you a bit more information and understanding of some of the things you can study in the faculty. Dr. Brenda Austin-Smith with English Theatre, Film, and Media, Dr. Michael Sampson with Classics, and Dr. Ken McKendrick from Religion. And there they all are on your screen. If you have a question during the session, please use the Q&A function to ask it. We are going to open up a time for questions at the end of the session. We won't be addressing questions during the session until the ending. We also often find that many questions attendees have are usually answered during the presentation. So please, we encourage you to hold on to your questions to the end, and we'll be sure to answer everything before we finish off. I also would like to encourage you throughout the presentation to take a screenshot of any of the slides you'd like. We have some with web addresses listed or course names and numbers that you might like to refer to later. So also remember, again, we're recording the session and it will be available within about 48 hours on umanitoba.ca if you'd like to go back and refer to anything a second time that you may have missed. I'd now like to turn it over to Dr. Heidi Marks, who will tell us a bit more about what the term arts means and what you can study in the Faculty of Arts. Dr. Marks?
Thank you, Amber. As Amber said, welcome to the Faculty of Arts. You've made the right choice to study with us. What is arts? What does an arts education even mean? Arts refers to the liberal arts and not the fine arts like music or painting or pottery. And it's a term which originated in the educational systems of the ancient classical Greek and Latin Mediterranean worlds. The liberal arts referred to a handful of subjects that would prepare people, mostly elite men at the time, not just for certain jobs, but for all of life, for the art of living well. In the medieval European university, there were 7 liberal arts: grammar, rhetoric, logic, geometry, arithmetic, music, and astronomy. These were subjects that any educated person, still mostly elite men in that time, would learn about before turning to more specific professional training programs to be doctors or lawyers or theologians. Although we are a long way from the ancient world or the Middle Ages, some of these subjects are still taught in faculties of arts today. But let's talk more about arts today and arts at the University of Manitoba. First, we can tell you that you've chosen a popular place. Over 4,400 undergraduate students and about 500 graduate students have made this same choice. But what they are studying varies greatly. We hope you will find your calling here. We have 26 areas of study to choose from and over 75 introductory courses that will be offered this coming year. Beyond the classroom, we offer many opportunities for students to get involved in something that interests them. We have 4 departments that offer co-op programs and numerous travel and exchange opportunities for when those start up again. There are student groups to join and research positions to fill. Even while we are remote, you will still have access to professors and student advisors who can help guide you along the way, and you can be part of activities that give you the chance to experience your university education in a unique way. The Faculty of Arts offers 4 different Bachelor of Arts degree programs: a Bachelor of Arts General, a BA Advanced, BA Honors, and BA Integrated Studies. The BA Integrated Studies is primarily for people already in the workforce who wish to go back to university to complete a degree, so you might want to tell your parents or grandparents about that one. Which degree you choose will depend on what you'd like to study in your career or future education plans for pre-professional study or graduate studies. Once you've taken some courses and gotten more of a feel for your chosen area of study, you may also decide to change which degree path you're on, and that is just fine. You do not have to lock in before you even start. I changed my undergraduate degree 3 times. I was psychology, then theater. When I discovered I couldn't act, I went off to philosophy. Now, what do we study in the Faculty of Arts? It's a large faculty with many interesting choices. On this slide, you can see all of the different areas of study we offer for your major and minor. You may already have an idea of what you'd like to focus on, or you may not. Perhaps you've registered for a variety of courses from different areas to help you choose your future major, and that's wonderful. Many students decide what to major in after their first year of study. You don't want to wait too long though, because by a certain point you have to declare a major. In fact, up to 60% of students graduate from a different program than the one they started in, and up to 25% of students attempt 3 or more programs during their degree. What I'm trying to say is that your first year is an introduction. It's a year of discovery. Even if you have a clear focus and goal, we encourage you to listen and learn about areas we are profiling this week. Perhaps you will at least get ideas for a minor or for your elective courses. When you are here at the Faculty of Arts, you will gain employable and transferable skills. At a high level, an arts education will help to broaden your mind, teach you how to gather facts, interpret information, and make informed decisions, and help you learn different viewpoints, and that there is usually not one right answer to a problem. You will acquire the skills sought by today's employers like the ones we've listed here. We're not a trade school or vocational school. What we offer is a skills-based education that helps to prepare you for a future career, multiple future careers, really. More than that, and often more importantly than that, we can help you become a better and more fulfilled human being by teaching you how to be a better friend, family member, partner, parent, citizen, and human being. A good life doesn't just happen, and it certainly won't happen if we don't even take time to think about what that means. And a good life is only partially linked to good employment, but that undoubtedly is important. A good life is the result of deliberate, conscious, informed choices you make about who you want to be and how you want to live. And we help you learn more about the decision-making processes that can assist you to make better choices in all areas of your life. Now let's talk about what to expect. This fall is going to be a little bit different, as we all know. And you've been hearing about this for a while now, but when classes start next week, what can you really expect? Your experience is going to look a bit more like the photo on the left than the one on the right. There will be online classes using tools like Zoom versus packed lecture halls, holding over 200 students at a time. You'll set up a study station at home instead of carrying all your belongings to campus for an all-day cram session in the library with your friends. You'll eat lunch in your kitchen instead of in the quad. But there will also be a lot of similarities to past and hopefully future years. The expectations of your instructors for quality work submitted on time will be the same. The independent nature of university studies versus what you were used to in high school, and the connections you'll make with classmates because of your shared interests and goals. We hope to welcome you to campus sometime soon, maybe January, maybe later. It really depends on how things go in the province. But until then, the university is ready to support all students with your education and your overall university experience. To that end, we've already assembled some remote learning tips for you. All courses in the Faculty of Arts will be taught via remote learning for fall term 2020. If you register for a 6 credit hour course that spans September to April, that course will begin and end remotely. It won't become in person in January if we happen to get back on campus. All courses will be accessible through the University of Manitoba's learning management system called Learn. Hopefully you've been using it this summer to complete your summer online orientation training called Essentials. That will help you get used to the system. To prepare for classes, we encourage you to prep your work area, get your headphones and computer ready, have a space where you can spread out your textbook, readings, computer, and writing space. Read the course outline so you know what is due, when it's due, and how it will be marked. The course outline is an invaluable resource. It's a roadmap to your courses. You should expect a mix of live classes, recorded lectures that you can go back to and review, and some supplementary videos. Many arts classes have a participation component for marks. We can still do this online with breakout rooms, polls, chats, and other unique tools your profs are discovering. So be ready to jump in and participate. Testing will also be done online. This can include multiple choice, calculations, short answer, and essays. Also group work. All the things you'd be tested on paper. Your instructors will provide all the information in advance so you are ready and prepared. While we're talking about online tests and other assessments, I want to remind you of something you've learned about in Essentials already, namely the importance of academic integrity. I am the person in arts who is in charge of dealing with most cases of academic dishonesty, plagiarism, cheating, purchase papers, personation, various categories, ways in which students can go wrong. You may find yourself more tempted to engage in this behavior in an online setting, and you may think that there are more opportunities to do so, but the consequences really are not worth it. You can be suspended for years from taking classes at the University of Manitoba. I strongly urge you to familiarize yourself with university policies and ensure you follow them. Traditionally, we encourage students to get to know their instructors face-to-face, visit during office hours, talk after class. You can also do these things remotely. There will still be office hours and ways to connect with your instructor when you have questions. They're not going to be answering a DM at 2 a.m., but they are there to support during regular office times and through email. If you're unsure when their office hours are, please ask. But first check the course outline. Speaking of which, ask questions early. Don't wait until the day before the exam. Make sure you connect with fellow students, teaching assistants, and professors throughout the term to stay on top of the material. While I encourage you to make an effort to get to know your instructors, I also want to remind you of the importance of being patient and respectful in your communication with them, and also with your fellow students. There's a whole session this week on respectful digital conduct, and I would strongly encourage you to participate in that. In order to get through this semester together, we need to be kind, generous, and gentle with one another. You'll find instructors have varying levels of comfort with technology. Some will use more tools than others, and that's okay. The important part is not how flashy it is, but are you able to get the information you need to learn the material? And remember, don't use your personal email address, your Gmail or Shaw accounts. You must use your myumanitoba.ca email address to communicate with professors and university staff. Please check this email regularly for information on deadlines and important announcements from UManitoba and arts. Even though we aren't together in person, we've learned over the last few months that we can still build community. Many student groups will still be running. You can build or join online study groups with fellow students. Just be careful in those cases, again, that you don't run afoul of inappropriate collaboration guidelines. You can follow social media for reminders, to learn about online events, and to stay ahead of the game. It says my internet connection is unstable. let me know if that affects anything.
We can
The
still
academic,
hear you, Heidi. We can still hear
sorry?
you, so just keep going. I'll let you know if anything happens with the connection.
Excellent, thanks, Amber. The Academic Learning Center has online workshops, tutors, and more to help you get through your studies. Don't be afraid to use their services. They are here for all students, and they employ truly wonderful people to help with all kinds of things. And don't forget, the Active Living Center is open. You can book an appointment to use the gym, stay active, and take the opportunity to get away every once in a while from the home desk you've set up for yourself. There are so many people wanting to help you. Please reach out and you'll find someone who can connect you to the right person for each question you have. So next, let's talk about the humanities. Let's dig deeper into this subject. What areas of study does it include? Before we segue into finding out more about specific departments. Well, the humanities is a term that developed in the Renaissance to distinguish those subjects that were focused on human society and culture, as opposed to the study of theological subjects, which was the main point of a university education up to that point. So one of the aims of certain Renaissance thinkers was to rebalance education in favor of studying human beings rather than God. Today, the humanities refer to areas of study that differ in approach from the natural sciences and the social sciences, which are mostly empirical in their methods. In other words, their starting point is direct observation. But the humanities are also distinct from professional programs such as business or social work or architecture and so on. The humanities take critical, reflective, and speculative approaches to their subject matter. Most humanities disciplines also have a historical aspect, and there's a lot of overlap between the social sciences and humanities, which is why they're together in one faculty, but the approach in humanities disciplines differs. For instance, you could study the meaning of happiness in the departments of philosophy, religion, and history, all three of them humanities, or in psychology and sociology, social sciences, to name but a few. But the way you'd go about answering that question would be different in each. You would likely find more similarities among the first three and the last two. The Faculty of Arts has a number of humanities departments, they're listed on this slide, and many of our interdisciplinary programs are mainly humanities focused as well. We also teach a lot of languages in arts, and these are usually categorized as humanities disciplines. Today, you'll be hearing from three of our humanities departments, the ones highlighted here in blue: classics, English, theater, film and media, and religion. That's my department, where I teach courses on early Christianity, ancient Greek and Roman religions, and topics related to ancient medicine and philosophy. Let me give you just a quick sampling of some exciting topics that get studied in these departments. You can learn about the films of the famous Winnipeg director, Guy Madden. You can take a whole course on the history of Indigenous peoples in Canada. My colleague, Dr. Ken McKendrick, in religion, who you'll hear from momentarily, teaches a great course on death and concepts of the afterlife, if you're in a morbid mood. In philosophy, there's a new course on the meaning of life, and you can learn all about Greek and Roman gods and goddesses and their naughty ways in mythology courses in classics, something my 8-year-old son loves to learn about these days. I now invite Dr. Brenda Austin-Smith, professor and department head for English, theater, film, and media, to share more about their department and the wonderful things you can learn. Thank you. Thanks, Brenda. I have to unmute.
Always forget. Welcome everybody. I'm Brenda Austin-Smith and I'm the head of English, theater, film and media. We're one department with three elements, three internally interesting, attractive programs, and all three of our programs, English, theater, and film, make use of media, which is why we have media in our name. So I'm going to talk about, generally, give you an overview of these three programs. So the main program that people might know about is an English program. We have an English major, English minor, and English honors. And for everybody interested in taking at least one English course, you should know that there are many paths to take to get into our second year courses. If you're interested in pursuing English, everybody needs to take either English 1340 and 1400 together, or English 1200 in order to get into that space of the second year. English 1200 is a course called Representative English Works, literary works. And what it does is it's a 6 credit hour course, begins in September, ends in April, and it takes you on a tour of world literature in English. You get a chance to read poetry, drama, short stories, a novel or two, and discuss them and learn about genres and forms, and you look for those patterns. And English 1200 is really designed for people who are interested in majoring in English or actually taking an honors degree. If you are more of a dabbler and you're not really sure how you feel about English Lit, but you want to give it a try, try English 1340, which is a 3 credit hour course, delving into genres, again, poetry, prose, some drama, or English 1400, which is a thematic approach to literature. Themes, war and peace, families, love and hate, life and death. So these are the kinds of themes that people and our instructors will take up in those courses. So once you get through the first year course and you're interested perhaps in taking some more courses in English, I just put on this slide some of the titles of some very cool courses that we're running this year. We have a course called Beyond High Fantasy, all about science fiction, taught from actually an historical perspective. So looking at science fiction and fantasy in various forms, various genres. We also have a course that we offer quite often in the graphic novel. We have unusual approaches to Shakespeare, Shakespeare and race, Shakespeare and gender, Shakespeare unsettled, like an uncomfortable Shakespeare. We always offer courses in medieval literature if you're interested in stories of Arthur. So you'll get that material from us. We also have a course this year, Territory and Language and Indigenous Literatures. We often partner and share resources, information, and occasionally courses with Native Studies. So we're very attentive to that particular subject. We also have an ongoing core course in film and literature if you're interested in adaptations. So that's really it for the overview of English. We also have a theater program, and our theater program offers a major and a minor, an advanced major, and the academic calendar, which is all online, will give you more information about exactly how many courses you need to take in order to achieve your major, your minor, or your advanced major. So in theater, we give you both historical courses in drama and practical experience in theater. Everybody needs to take Theater 1220 as that stepping stone. That gets you in the door of the theater world. So that's an introductory course. Everybody takes it who's interested in theater, and then you move on. So cool courses this year in theater include eco-critical theater, which we're offering for the first time, the way that climate change issues and issues of sustainability are manifest on the stage and in the texts of plays. But we always have courses in theatrical techniques, how to act, how to direct, text in performance, how to read a dramatic text and understand how the body turns into an instrument used to sort of communicate and express that art. This year, we're also offering a course in political theater and a course in women in theater, the history of women in theater. And of course, in the early stages of theater in the Western world, women were not allowed to be on stage at many points in the history of theatrical production. So that's a really interesting course to take. So I think we'll move on from there. Our final, but no means lesser program is the film program. Again, part of our larger English department. And this program, like the other ones, engages more than just film. We have courses in television, where we analyze television. We have courses in screenwriting. For the film major, the advanced major, and the film minor, you need to take Film 1290 and Film 1310. 1290 is one of my favorite courses to teach. It's an introduction to film studies. We watch films and we talk about film as an art. How does it express itself? We talk about more than plot, by the way. We talk about acting styles. We talk about the effect of light on an image. We talk about color, costume, makeup, gesture, and how all these things communicate. Film 1310 is a history course, but it's fabulous because it teaches you about Japanese film and Italian film and French film and all the different movements like German Expressionism and film noir that you encounter. Once you take those two courses, you can advance and take more of our cool courses at the second and third year level in film studies. This year, we're offering science fiction film. We have a whole course on Alfred Hitchcock and his relationship to other filmmakers and other art movements. We always offer a course in introductory filmmaking. We teach you how to use a camera, a digital camera, and make your own film. That will be online this year, so we'll teach you how to do that. We also have a course in documentary film and a course in the popular cinema. And the popular film course is very popular, as you can imagine. So these are some of the cool courses we're offering this year. So people often ask, what can I do with a degree in film or theater or English? And my answer is anything. You are limited only by your imagination. We teach you oral and written communication skills. You learn how to research. You learn how to analyze texts for pattern and meaning. You learn how to synthesize various sources and put together critical and persuasive documents. You learn about critical thinking and problem solving. And people often wonder what critical thinking is. And it means bringing resources of reason to bear on the materials that are given to you. So you learn how to sort things into what's false, what's true, what's better, what's worse. We also give you technical skills, for example, in acting, directing, theater, making your own films, and you learn how to work in teams. So you're going to be learning that remotely, but there will still be an opportunity to do group work and teamwork in that kind of distributed way, as Heidi mentioned early on in this presentation. And there are some unique opportunities connected with our department. Every year, usually every year, we put on theater program productions, big main stage productions. They too will be a bit different this year. Students will probably be doing those online. English film and theater students have an undergraduate association of like-minded students, or at least like-interested students, and you can join that students association, make friends, come up with opportunities for socializing and activities. We also have a media lab that's usually opened. It's not open in the same way this year because of COVID, but the Media Lab does provide opportunities for post-production film work and those kinds of workshops. And we're also affiliated through the Center for Creative Writing and Oral Culture with writing workshops. And we ourselves offer creative writing courses in English. So all of these opportunities and many more are available to you. So do consider taking more courses with us and look at the possibilities for your future. These are just some of the concrete things that you could do with a background in English, theater, film, and media. But as I say, you're limited only by your imagination, and we look forward to working with you, learning with you, teaching with you, and creating with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I'd like to now hand things over to Dr. Mike Sampson, Associate Professor of Classics, to tell us about his department, please.
Thanks, Heidi. It's great to talk with you all today about classics, a discipline which is famously prone to being misunderstood. When I was an undergraduate about your age, people would always say to me, classics, what's that? Do you study Mozart? And I would say, no, no, no. Classics has nothing to do with classical music. Instead, it has to do with the Greek and Roman worlds. Every aspect of Greco-Roman antiquity is the subject matter in the Department of Classics. We study language and literature, we study ancient history, we study material culture, that's to say the art and the archaeology of the ancient world. There are courses in ancient religions, both Greek and Roman and more late antique. In fact, Dr. Marks knows a few things about those too. She helps us out in teaching some of that subject matter. As I say, we teach literature and language, but also intellectual skills, that is to say, the intellectual life of antiquity, ancient philosophy, in other words. We're a department that really branches out and touches on the other humanities, and we have really close relationships with other colleagues in the Faculty of Arts as a result. Degree offerings in classics come in a few flavors. There's a few varieties. Believe it or not, you can actually get a degree in ancient Greek or a degree in ancient Latin at the U of M, both as an advanced major or as a minor that you can add on to your other degree. Of course, most students who come to classics are interested in the more broad-based and general classical studies degree, which you can do as an advanced major or as a general major, or even as a minor to add on to another degree. There is no honors program in classics. We find that our top students are doing the advanced major, and that has never been a hindrance for them as they move on into graduate school or professional programs. In classics, I have 6 other colleagues, all very talented, all very smart, and all very fun to work with. And we have a wide range of specialities that reflect the breadth of our discipline. My colleague across the hall is an internationally renowned archaeologist who works on Greek pottery. And across, a little further down the hall from him, we have a former Canada Research Chair in Roman archaeology, who is an internationally renowned expert in her field. I have other colleagues, of course, who are historians and study Greco-Roman history, and even some who are interested in literature and ancient education, ancient philosophy, ancient myth and its interpretation and its reception. Lots and lots of specialities, which cover, as I say, the whole range of the field. Our introductory courses are really always quite well populated, and some of you may have already enrolled in 1 or 2 of them. And the reason why they're so well populated is because they're really accessible and they're really quite a bit of fun. Greek and Roman mythology is a barn burner of a course. We offer it every term, we offer it through distance education, and it's a lot of fun. Dr. Marks made a joke at the start of the presentation about all the Greek and Roman gods and the naughty things they do. Well, this is the class where you can learn about them in some detail and what exactly those myths mean. We also have very broad gateway courses to Greek culture, broadly speaking, and Roman culture, broadly speaking. And when I say broadly speaking, I mean that they encompass really the breadth of those cultures: art, archaeology, literature, intellectual life. By taking these courses, you're going to dip your toe into the breadth of our field and to get a sense of what the Greek and Roman peoples were really like, and what the environment and the context in the Mediterranean that they lived in was like. Of course, these were cultures that were in contact with one another, but they were also in contact with cultures in the Near East and in North Africa, and as far to the west as modern-day Spain, in fact. So there's a great deal of material of interest here at the first year level. Cool courses. There's so many. Once you have taken the introductory segments in Greek culture or Roman culture, you can branch out into any number of sub-disciplines in classics. You can focus on the ancient literature, of which there is a great deal that survives. If your inclinations are more historical, you can take courses in ancient history through our department. And of course, if you're interested in ancient art, and architecture, and material culture, I've already mentioned my 2 wonderful colleagues who specialize in that material. And the first course on this cool courses list is by one of them, and this is a course on the ancient site of Pompeii and Herculaneum, which was destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. This is a course where you can learn about the unique circumstances of Pompeii and Herculaneum's survival. It's very, very rare in the 21st century for us to be able to look back 2,000 years into antiquity and to see an ancient city as it was. I mean, Pompeii, when the volcano erupted, it vanished essentially in an instant. It's a wonderful course, and Dr. Sterling, my colleague, has great interest in the artwork from Pompeii, which is unique and very, very interesting. The second item on the cool courses to choose from is a course that touches on some of the things that Dr. Austin Smith was talking about a moment ago in the Department of English, Film, Theater, and Media. We offer a course on ancient Greece and Rome through film. And instead of thinking about the films as technical production, the art of filmmaking, this course is a way of thinking about film as a medium for the reception of ancient Greek and Roman myth, how these myths continue to resonate so many years later, centuries later, and millennia later from their original context. And one of the things you'll learn when you study myth, of course, is that myth is always being reinterpreted, and myth always means something new as it is passed down from generation to generation. And so it's no surprise, really, that we have films taking up mythological subject matter from antiquity and manipulating it or reinterpreting it for its own purposes. There are others on the list, but in the interest of time, I'll simply highlight those top two choices. As you can see, there's quite a range of topics that you can study in the Department of Classics. There are a number of unique opportunities. The fact that I have archaeological colleagues means that there are opportunities to go digging in sites abroad, usually in Europe or North Africa. And so archaeological fieldwork is one of the great possible venues for experiential learning in the Department of Classics. But I'd also point out the number, and really a great number, of research assistant opportunities that are available to students in classics as well. And some of those touch upon really cutting edge work in what we call the digital humanities. In this past January, for example, I hired an undergraduate student to help me with the project that I'm working on, and it involved taking ancient Greek texts that are preserved in fragmentary form and encoding them in a digital format so that they can be published and read and analyzed online by the international community in an open access format. That is to say, without any subscription costs. And this was an opportunity that a third-year undergraduate student was able to not only learn a great deal about the field, but even to get paid for it too. There are other study abroad programs, and the International Center at the U of M can help you with that, but Classics has in the past both sent students abroad to other countries and also received international students who came all the way to Winnipeg specifically to study at the U of M, and I've had wonderful international students come through my classes in the past. It's really quite a bit of fun and a great opportunity. Our students themselves, though, are really our greatest asset. Undergraduates in classics are curious, and they're intellectually inclined, and they're really wonderful folks. We have a great student society, and all of the social media handles are there at the bottom of the slide for you. And they hold all sorts of activities throughout the year, from film night to a student conference, to other activities, bake sales, and the like, that really help forge a sense of community in our department, which is great. And some of that carries over, in fact, into the last great opportunity in classics, which is the summer Latin reading group. It's all fun and games to say that you're learning ancient Greek and Latin, but the fun comes when it's time to read a text or two on your own. And in the summer, without coursework, it's a great opportunity to meet with some friends and the occasional professor and to try to make sense of some Latin texts together. The skills in classics are much like the skills that Dr. Marks has talked about, that Dr. Austin Smith has talked about, and Dr. McKendrick is about to talk about. When you study classics, you're training your brain to do anything, and this is true of the humanities, which is why it's a recurring theme in this webinar. In classics, critical thinking and analysis are two of the greatest assets that you will acquire. Why? Because they're transferable skills. You're learning how to do problem solving. You're learning how to interpret information in a critical way, that is, to think about what's out there and what it means and whether, in fact, it is correct. You're going to learn how to integrate knowledge from a wide variety of sources. In classics, sometimes we're analyzing data that comes in the form of an ancient work of art or a piece of pottery. We can be comparing that to the evidence in Greco-Roman literature in some form or another, and comparing that to what we know about history more broadly. And those are skills, that ability to combine and integrate information from multiple sources, which are really valuable, because really you're not training your brain to do one thing, you're training it to do all sorts of things. As in English theater, film, and media, we value clarity in communication, and that is to say both in written form and in oral form, learn how to speak in a way that is persuasive and thorough, and learn how to write in clear, compact, and concise sentences that convey the meaning that you intend, or perhaps the meaning that you don't intend as well. The great benefit that probably distinguishes classics from our sibling disciplines in the humanities, though, is that there's a tendency for classic students to acquire really big picture perspective. That is to say, by looking back 2,000 years at ancient civilizations and trying to analyze what made them great, what made them problematic, and what happened to them, you learn about history and you learn about how things happened in the past in a way that really gives you perspective on contemporary events. I could cite the example of the COVID pandemic that we find ourselves in. Well, there were plagues in antiquity too, folks. And I can tell you right now, the way that Canadian society has responded to COVID is quite a bit different from the way that the Athenians and the Romans responded to it. And I like our way better. But we get that perspective through the study of the classics. Sample careers, again, to bang the drum, you're not learning to do one thing, you're learning to do just about anything. And classics has traditionally been the undergraduate degree that is the precursor to a career in the law. But I can also tell you that students with classics degrees go on to do medicine, they go on to work in journalism, they go on to work in more technical subjects, including finance or real estate. Education is a popular one too. But the point I'm going to make is one you've already heard. You know, you're not learning to do one thing, you're learning to do just about anything you want. You're acquiring skills that you can transfer to just about any career. And so with that, I'll pass it back to Amber and Heidi and encourage you to come and see us in the classics department.
Thank you so much, Mike. Lastly, we have Dr. Kenneth McKendrick, Associate Professor and Department Head from Religion, to tell us about that department.
Hi, thanks for being here and learning about the humanities. I'm here to talk a little bit about religion. So one of the most common misconceptions about a department is that we are a theology department. That means that theology is basically the study of God or the exploration of faith. In my view, the theology has very little to do with the academic study of religion. What we're doing here is we're not practicing religion, but we're actually studying it. And so I'm going to start off here with a couple of slides that just sort of ask the question, what is religion? And so one of the first definitions we might have is that there is only one true religion. This is really a definition of religion that set the stage for what we would call comparative theology. In a sense, you had one complete, perfect religion, and then everything else was measured up to it. That stage of comparative theology was eventually gave way to what we call the world religions paradigm. The world religions paradigm is the idea that there are a number of different religions, not just one. We don't have to arrange them in a kind of hierarchy, but these are world traditions that really shape and influence civilizations in a broad-based scale. And traditionally, we see, 7 are defined. And of course, these are very much limited to India and China and the Mediterranean, with scholars not really paying much attention to the rest of the world outside of that. So on the next slide, so I'm going to try to give Amber a hard time here by awkward segues. On the other hand, we also have these political conceptions of religion that are emerging roughly around the same time period. And the one is that religion and politics are separate. This is the idea that, religion is one sphere of life and politics is another sphere of life, and these two don't meet. They're completely separate. And one is inward private faith and belief, and the other one is outward expression, the realm of the magistrates, and so on. John Locke is famous for developing this. On the other hand, we have the idea that religion finds its expression in politics. And in a sense, religion basically, or politics is nothing more than religion in a sense writ large, that any political state is automatically religious state, and that these are almost one and the same thing. And we find this coming right around the same time, emerging at the same time. So these are 4 different definitions of religion, some of which you probably are familiar with or heard or maybe even used at one time or another. Now today, looking at sort of really contemporary conceptions of religion, we have a very open-ended conception, is that religion is whatever you believe. So whatever you take seriously, whatever you hold sincerely, soberly, importantly, whatever you believe, that's your religion. And so it may be a wide range of things. Someone else might say, well, religion is whatever you do, whatever you practice. And that would be different than what you believe, which is sort of this inward experiential focus. What you practice is what you do. And so this is very popular with social scientists who might want to say, well, we don't know what goes on inside people. We want to know what they're doing, where they're going to be, what they're going to be doing in those spaces. And so you may define religion that way. Another definition of religion concerns the transcendental. The religion is whatever is superhuman or supernatural. And so these three popular conceptions, again, these are all very commonly used in what we call world religions textbooks today, and you'll come across them fairly frequently. Now, the point that I sort of want to make in all of this is not that the definition of religion is elusive or difficult to pin down. I just provided 7 definitions of religion, and that was a pretty easy thing to do. So religion is actually quite easy to define. The question really is, what do you want to do with that definition? What do you want to learn? And so some of those definitions, it's not that they're more or less true. I don't think definitions are true or false, but that they're more or less interesting or more or less useful. And so it really depends on what do you want to do? What do you want to learn about? What kind of questions do you want to ask? So for example, if you want to study ritual, defining religion as an inward belief may not actually be that helpful. One of the things that I like to do is I like to take conceptions or definitions of religion and then apply them outside the traditional box. So I'm very interested in studying fandom. And so I take the tools that we've developed in the study of religion, study of mythology, the study of ritual, the study of narrative, and then I apply them to Star Wars, or I apply them to Harry Potter, or I apply them to the zombie apocalypse, because I find that the tools that we've developed in our field are really, really good at studying non-traditional religions as well. And so what we get here when we're looking at what is religion is not that religion is difficult to define. It's easy to define, but it really depends on what you want to do, what you want to learn, and what kind of questions you want to ask, and then where you go from there. So as many of the programs here, we have an undergraduate and graduate programs. We have a minor, general major, advanced major, honors single, and an honors double. And the thing that I would like to talk a little bit about, just a little bit, would be the joint master's program with the University of Winnipeg. The JMP program, we have 8 people that are involved here. We also have an equal number of people that are involved at the University of Winnipeg. That means we have about 16 people that are involved in the joint master's program, making it one of the largest graduate programs in the study of religion in all of Canada. There's a couple that are larger, but for the most part, we have a vast amount of resources for students to draw upon. So in addition to being able to take an undergraduate degree here, you're able to go on and do graduate work here and enter into one of the richest programs that we have in the country in terms of the resources that are available to you. So the way our program is structured, we basically have courses in 3 different areas, and I've summarized them here as traditions, themes, and theory. A traditions-based approach is one that where a professor will walk students through or engage with students and have a conversation with them about a particular religious tradition. So a classic example would be our second-year classes, Introduction to Islam, Introduction to Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, and so on. And so a traditions-based approach would look at a single tradition, Christianity, for example, and it would look at various contestations, various contexts, various contradictions within that, and look at how Christianity either has held together or fallen apart or changes over time. Very much like Mike said, mythology, how it's used, how it functions, changes over time. Traditions are the same way. What Christian means today in Winnipeg is different than it meant 1,500 years ago in another part of the world. So traditions-based process will do the sort of survey of a particular tradition in a number of times and places. Thematic courses are sort of like religion in relation to something else. And so what you might have is a particular topic or theme, and that a number of religious traditions intersect with that theme. And so as Heidi mentioned, the course on death. Death is a great course. It's a fun, I don't find it morbid. In some respects, I find it actually kind of a fun class to teach because you're looking at the ways in which people, what they do with bodies. You know, the corpse is, for example, a common theme. At the end of the day, we all have to deal with a dead body. And I know that may be kind of morbid, but it is a very practical difficulty. And so what do? Do you bury the body? Do you preserve the body in glue and then stick it on a shelf? Or do you burn the body? What do you do with it? And so how religious traditions have treated the corpse is a potential theme that we deal with. How people mourn, how they grieve, how they cry. Is it you keep it all to yourself, you express it very loudly? Is it 30 days, 180 days? Is it for 5 years? Is it forever and ever? Or is it you're not supposed to grieve at all? And so one of the things in these thematic courses is that we see that there are these sort of cross-cultural themes that human beings have to deal with pragmatically on an everyday basis: purity, impurity, sexuality, all of these things, but that religious traditions from different times and places have all interacted with those themes in very different ways. And so you get this sort of almost a global smattering, a sprinkling of a bunch of different ideas and how people have dealt with these very pragmatic things. And in terms of method and theory, we're one of the few undergraduate departments that require our students to take classes on method and theory in the academic study of religion. And that's a big part of our program, and it's a bit of a selling point. My contribution to that is I don't so much do the history of religion or methodological approaches to religion. I actually focus a lot on the history of the study of religion. So I don't study religion itself, but I study scholars who have reportedly studied religion, and I focus on all of the things that they're doing. So introductory courses, many of these classes are actually W credit. So if you're looking for a writing credit, you can take 1322, 1324, or 1440, among others. These are courses, most of them are thematic in their emphasis, in the sense that they have a particular theme, and at the introductory level, you're just going to get a bunch of snapshots of different people, different cultures, different places and times, all in one sort of basket. So my favorite class is, of course, well, not of course, but my favorite class is the Evil class, Evil World Religions, where I take a topic like contamination and I look at the way in which different people and different times and places approach dirt or contamination or pollution. How you become impure, what impurity means, how do you fix the impurity. So we might look at sexuality or funerals, or even the logic of insults, when people call one another names and then they feel as though that name actually becomes part of their person and taints them somehow, and have to go for a purification ritual in order to fix that. So we do those kinds of things at the introductory level. Looking at some of our cool courses, Professor Marks teaches one of those, Ancient Medicine and Magic, a course that she created. We also have a course on atheism. This is the first time it will be taught this year: the supernatural and popular culture, animals and ethics, Buddhism in the West, history and the study of religion, and body history. I'm going to select out the supernatural popular culture. It's a class that I teach on a regular basis. In that course, my students will walk through things like Harry Potter and Marvel superheroes and Jediism. And at one point, they'll also get to play a game called Dungeons and Dragons. So they get a chance to experience what it means to, in a very vivid way, live in an imaginary world. And so we do all of these kinds of things, and we explore all of these different aspects in order to sort of see how people use supernatural representations. And so while on the one hand, people might think, well, when you're studying religion, you're really studying God, aren't you? And I'm going to be like, well, people treat Harry Potter a lot like God. Harry Potter is supernatural, he's got magical powers, he does these incredible things. And people use the concept of God, or people use the concept of demons, or they use the concept of magic in particular ways, but people use Harry Potter, supernatural representation, in a particular kind of way too. And I think it's really interesting to use the tools that we bring to bear in the study of religion to examine things like popular culture and fandom and those kinds of things. Yeah. So some of the core skills learned, this is a repetition of some of the things that have already been said. But what I really want to mention here is that these skills should not be underestimated at all. Ultimately, when an employer is looking for a really good employee, they're going to be looking for that employee to be able to solve problems. And one of the things that we offer in the study of religion, or in classics, or in English and film and theater and media, is the ability to teach people how to problem solve in multiple ways. In other words, you'll be able to adopt multiple perspectives whenever you have a problem in front of you. And so you might be able to say, well, we have a problem. Your employer might say to you, we have a problem and we need it fixed. And you might say, well, from an anthropological point of view, the problem can be fixed this way. But if we adopt the sociological point of view, we can solve it this way. Or if we adopt a point of view from the study of religion or mythology, we can fix it this way. And so somebody might be able to say, well, you've got a problem and I've got 9 different ways of solving it. And it's the ability to adopt multiple theoretical perspectives or multiple viewpoints, to be able to see the world through the eyes of another person, that really launches the humanities into a much larger sort of field of human development and shared livingness together, I think, what Heidi sometimes referred to as the good life. So sample careers. The study of religion is great in the sense that one, you can become a professional scholar of religion, but two, it lends itself to a number of other fields: education, architecture, law, medicine, public administration, journalism, and so on. All of these fields are areas in which knowing something about world religions or religions from around the world or different cultures, or being able to adopt multiple perspectives, are very useful for. One thing I like to focus on in some of my classes is the relationship between religion and law. If you look at court cases today, legal battles and legal disputes, many of them often revolve around religion. What is religion? How do you define it? What does it mean? Is it traditional? Who's involved? What counts or what doesn't count? For example, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster may sound a little bit silly, but has gone into the courts in a number of places because many of its adherents would like to be able to have their picture taken with a pasta strainer over their head. Now that may sound silly, but then you also have something like the Church of Satan, or you have Jediism, or you have non-traditional forms of Christianity, all vying for particular legal privileges. And so having a background in the study of religion, what counts as religion, what doesn't, who gets to decide what counts and what doesn't, can be very helpful in that particular field. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll pass it back to Amber and Heidi.
Thank you, Ken. So we hope that helps you gain a better understanding of the types of things you will study and learn in the Faculty of Arts, particularly in the humanities programs, and where those studies can potentially lead you after graduation. You've made a good choice entering the Faculty of Arts. It seems like a long way away, but at the end of your time with us, when you earn your arts degree, you will be equipped to pursue a wide variety of exciting and challenging careers in today's changing world. Arts degree holders are in high demand. Our graduates have gone on to jobs in both the public and private sectors in areas such as media, government, marketing, social services, and technology. Here we show you just a handful of occupations that may fit you and that you could do with an arts degree and some related work experience. Or you may find you'd like to continue your studies. Many students start in arts and use what they learn here as a base for a specialized degree such as law or education, or they may go on to a master's degree or a PhD. And your time here is really what you make of it. There are many choices and opportunities, and we hope you enjoy it. I'm now going to pass things back to Amber, who's going to take you through the final section with some resources and reminders. Amber?
Even though you've gone through registration and classes begin next week, you likely feel like you're still in the planning stages of your degree. Which degree will you pursue? What will your major be? Should you choose a minor? And after hearing some of the speakers today, maybe you have some new courses piquing your interest to fill some of those elective spots in year 2 and year 3. As we've mentioned, it's okay to not have it all figured out yet. A degree is an ongoing, evolving process, and you have the tools and supports to help you navigate it. And we've got some resources to help. We do want to mention that we're wondering if you know that in addition to all of the areas of study we covered today, did you know we also offer courses in over 15 different languages? This is often an overlooked area by students, and we wanted to introduce you to our language offerings. We have options from beginner levels to advanced. You can take your new language on a study abroad opportunity once those start back up again, where you can then use it and improve it. We also have a language lab within arts with resources that can help you practice and apply your language skills. Now, in this time of remote learning, we've developed ways to offer the lab tools to students while studying from home. And the lab also offers tutors to students who are taking language classes to help you get better. When we're able to come back to campus again, there's also many on-campus activities like student clubs and movie nights and festivals that can give you an opportunity to practice your language skills. There's 2 main ways to stay on top of your degree planning. We ask you to go back regularly and review the academic calendar. A few folks have mentioned that today. Of course, this is your guidebook. It's your degree and course catalog that helps you see and plan out each year of your study. You're also going to learn about a tool called Achieve. This is an online degree audit that does a lot of the same things the academic calendar does, just in an online format. Also, this tool keeps track of what you've taken so far, so it helps you plan what you need to take next. Both tools help by seeing if you're taking the correct prerequisite courses for future courses you have in mind, and they track if you're fulfilling the requirements for your chosen major and degree. You can also connect with a Faculty of Arts academic advisor at any time to help interpret what you see in these tools. A link to these tools and to connect with an arts academic advisor can be found on our arts homepage, and the web address is listed at the bottom of the slide. If you have questions now or anytime during the year, remember there's always someone who can help. The arts academic advisors are a trained team to help you navigate your academic options. They can help plan your studies and prepare for future terms. They can discuss factors to consider when declaring your major. They can help to keep you on track to meet those degree requirements. They can provide information on general services on campus, and they can give it advice to enhance your overall university academic experience. We encourage you to contact the advisors if you're struggling or having difficulties anytime throughout the term. Or even if you just don't know where to go to for help, you can start with them. I'd also like to point out we have an advisor who's available that specializes in international student issues. During the fall term, advisors will be available by email to assist with program and degree planning questions. You can email them directly to the address on the slide with any and all of your questions. Now remember, advising is voluntary. No one's going to come to you to see if you want an advising appointment. So we encourage you all to take a proactive role in connecting with an advisor if you have questions. To continue to get yourself acclimated with the Faculty of Arts, we also would like to encourage you to visit our web pages, where you can always find information on the things we've covered today and much more. We'd also love for you to connect with us on one or more of our social media accounts. Follow along during the year to learn more about us, the courses we offer, the amazing research being conducted by professors and students, and to stay on top of Manitoba deadlines. We always use our social media to remind you of key dates, let you know about contests or other opportunities for students, and we share the stories of fellow students and alumni to give you ideas on majors, career choices, and more. We're offering a few other sessions this week during Prep Week to help welcome you. All of the sessions are being recorded and will be available online, so you can watch anytime, even if you have to miss the live session. The link is on the screen, and I encourage you to take a screenshot of this slide for your reference. Our interdisciplinary studies session on Wednesday is going to introduce you to the areas of Native Studies, Global Political Economy, German and Slavic Studies, and Labor Studies. On Thursday, Social Sciences is going to introduce you to Sociology and Criminology, Linguistics, and Political Studies. On the right-hand side, you can see a few other sessions that we've had today. Earlier today, Profs Are People Too was to help you learn what to expect from your profs for first-year students, okay? There's also a number of special interactive lectures from various faculties this week to help you give you an idea of what your online lectures are going to be like. Dr. Nigan Sinclair from Native Studies and Dr. Ryan Giuliano from Psychology are hosting 2 of these lectures this week. In the sessions, they're also going to provide some tips on how to take notes during an online lecture and how to get the most out of your online studies. There's also a number of sessions this week on academic writing, career services, introductions to student communities, and the one on digital conduct that Dr. Marks mentioned earlier. I encourage you to try to attend or watch as many as you can to try and help you get ready for the fall term. That brings us to the end of the presentation, and even though we're over time, we're still going to open it up for questions. Please use the Q&A function to type in your questions, and we'll be able to answer those, and we'll assign them as we need to. If you do have some questions that aren't pertaining to the topics that we talked about today, we encourage you to visit the U of M website. That's always a good place to start when you have general questions. You can use the search function, or you can use the Ask You Manitoba button to type in your questions, where you get an online response. For example, there are dedicated offices on the U of M campus for admissions, the International Center, Student Life, and the First Year Center that can answer questions directly related to those areas. So I'm going to go up to our questions today. We have one related to Dr. Austin Smith. We have one related to English. The question is, what about people that have already been through ICM and have taken English 1400 and are transferring to their second year? Do we need to take English again?
It depends. If you want to take more courses in English at the 2000 level, then you're going to have to take another 3 credits of English, because in order to get into that 2000 level, that second year English course, goodie bag, you need to have 6 credit hours of introductory English behind you. And English 1400 gives you 3 of the required 6 credit hours. But if you want to take more English courses at the second year, then you're going to have to take another 3 credit hours of English. However, if English is not your bag and you're heading to classics or history or philosophy or religion, then you've satisfied the W requirement that the University of Manitoba requires all students to satisfy by taking that ENGL 1400 course already.
Okay, I have another one related to English. This has come in a couple of times. Can you take an Intro to English course in your second year? Can you start taking English classes in your second year?
Yes.
The answer is absolutely yes.
Absolutely. Anytime the mood comes upon you, as Heidi mentioned too, a lot of students start out in different places. They may start in one area and then decide they want to do English maybe as a minor. So in year 2, sometimes I've seen students in year 3 decide, you know, I think I want to do that because I liked English when I was in high school. They take an English course and they decide, yeah, I'm going to take 6 credit hours of English because I may want to make it my minor or my major. So anytime.
Okay, have a couple questions related to theater, so we'll stick with you. There is one related to, I'm taking classes from outside of Canada right now, but of course we're remote learning. Is it still possible to do the introductory course for theater 1220? Since there is a part that has rehearsals later, can I still take it through the online course right now?
And that I'm not sure of. I don't think so, Andy. I can follow up by communicating more specifically with the coordinator for the theater program, but I think that theater course, Theater 1220, is one of the few courses that has permission to do more in-person classes this year. So I think that you might not be able to, because those students who are able to attend the in-person classes this year are going to learn some skills that I don't think you're going to be able to learn online, but I can get an answer, a more specific answer for you, and then we'll be able to answer it somehow in writing.
Is there a place that should he email the department email address perhaps?
I think it's actually the coordinator of theater,
okay.
William Kerr, Professor William Kerr, Kerr.
Okay, and that can all be, his contact info can be found on the English Theater, Film and Media web pages.
Yes.
So good. So there's another one in here related to theater. So assuming that theater extracurriculars and productions are going to be happening this year, is it still possible for a person to join, and how would they go about doing that?
It isn't going to be possible this year. It's a very strange year. You have to be registered in a theater class in order to, well, actually you don't. If they have, in normal years, the theater program has a giant audition call, and any student and any faculty member or staff member can read for a role, audition for a role. This year, if there are any productions, they're probably going to be Zoom productions. So again, I would contact Dr. Bill Kerr in theater. He's the coordinator, to see whether they want, people extras, because in years gone by, if you're a student on campus, you can audition for a production.
Yeah, and also I'll add to that to also follow things like the student group and the social media for the theater program, because those kinds of messages and call outs and things to be able to get other people involved would come through that as well. It would be communicated through that. So that's a good way to stay on top of it as well. So throughout the year. Okay, Dr. Marks, if you want to take this one, we had a question that said, at what point do you have to declare your major and
At what point do you have to? Yes, I believe it's after 60 credit hours. I can get the exact number, but it's usually by the end of your second year. And sometimes if you don't declare, well, no, if you don't declare in time, a hold will be put on your registration, which can be somewhat frustrating if you're trying to get into specific courses that you need for your hoped for major. So there's no harm in declaring early. You can always change, but I do urge people to declare early. You can declare your major after having taken the first introductory course in that discipline. That's all that it takes. So the message is declare early.
Okay.
We'll see some potential trouble down the road.
Thank you, Dr. Marks. These ones are for Professor McKendrick. Firstly, does your course, and you talked about a few of them, require any prior knowledge of religion or participation in religion, or is it completely objective? So we'll start with that.
Well, I would hesitate to say completely objective. We've all got our perspective, but certainly not. There's absolutely no background is required, either personal experience with what we typically call religious traditions or any kind of faith or whatever. It's like any other discipline that you would encounter, right? You don't have to have a background in anything. So that it may or may not be helpful, but they're certainly not required. And in most of the courses I talked about, there's no prerequisites either. You can just sort of jump right into any of the introductory courses or survey classes, and you'll be in the same footing as most other people. So.
Okay, excellent. And then there was a side question to that. Second, do you own the red box?
I'm not sure what that is. The red box I know about is a DVD lending machine. It's like a vending machine for DVD.
Right.
I'm guessing it's not what's being asked here. So sorry. I'm not even sure what that is. And so I'm guessing I don't own it.
Okay, we have one related to classics. So learning about what classics are, learning about it today. What if I have already made my schedule and I'm now feeling that classics is a stream I'm interested in? Is it okay for me to take 1,000 courses in year 2?
Absolutely. And just as Dr. McKendrick said about religion and the courses there, many of them not having prerequisites, I would say in classics, it's the same thing. A lot of our courses don't have prerequisites, so you're able to jump right in at any stage in your academic career. Even if you wanted to take the introductory courses in year 2, there's no problem. There's lots of seats in them, and as I said, they're always very popular. Come and have fun.
Excellent, thank you. We have a couple of questions in here related to languages. I'm going to list them out. I'll give an answer, and if someone wants to join in on that, I would appreciate it. So someone's asked if they could start a language if they don't already know it. Can they take a language course and use those courses as electives in year 2? So absolutely, we do have introductory language courses that you can start at any time, and those can be used as electives. If you have a question about a particular course and you're wanting to know how difficult or easy it may be, you can always look at contact the department for that language course and ask questions, and you may be connected with the instructor who would be able to have a conversation with you about the class and what they do in there. There's also a question here that says, well, if I go into a class, can I drop out of a class and switch without taking monetary penalty or academic penalty? So there are dates related to that in general, not just for language courses, but for any courses. Those dates are listed on umanitoba.ca under important dates and deadlines. If you search that, those are there, and those are set in stone for every term. And there are dates for making changes before there are any monetary penalties, and then there are dates for making changes after that as well. So there are always those deadlines, and as we've mentioned, we do give reminders to students about that on our social media, but it is your responsibility to stay on top of all of the important dates and deadlines for your academic term. Okay. There's also a question in here still related to, or going back to relating to the ICM student, and there may be other ICM students on this call and on this webinar. I am going to say that if you have specific questions about your moving from ICM into an arts degree specifically, related to what you're studying, what's eligible, what's not eligible. I would encourage you, instead of tackling that in this webinar, to contact the Arts Academic Advising Office using the email that we have on the slide here, and then asking those specific questions. You give your student number. When you send that email in, you can get very detailed questions about or detailed responses about your specific situation, and that's probably the best way to do that. So thanks for those questions. And then we have one last general question here. So Dr. Marks, what was it like studying philosophy?
It was great. I liked it so much, I went on and did a PhD in it.
Excellent. Well, that's all the questions that we had in the Q&A function. Thanks very much, everyone, for asking those questions. And I also want to thank everyone for joining the session today. We really hope that we've given you the tools to get ready for the start of term, answered some of your questions about what to expect in the Faculty of Arts. I really encourage you as well, if you want to learn about some of the other areas, please join us for some of the other sessions that we have this week. Follow us on social media throughout the term, and we really encourage you to ask questions whenever you have them. I also want to thank our presenters for sharing their insights with us today about all of their different areas, and thank you for sharing, because it was very insightful. Please continue, students, to watch your UManitoba email and social media for regular information and reminders from your faculty. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming, for joining, and have a wonderful day, and good luck with the fall term. I'm going to end the recording now and end the session.